Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how I would set these up from the first get-go. Okay, so I'll lay down, let's say, okay, but I can't just set this on the rack, it's not. I want them to release higher than the rack, but at least 3/4 of an inch, okay? So I can either put a plate down on there, or if this was a west side spacing, you had 1 inch spacing, I would just move this up one hole, set this bar down on there, and then set my releasers off of there. But because it's not west side spacing, right, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to put 3/4 inch chunk of flooring under the bar for my first setup. And what that's going to look like is going to be super quick. Right, so I'm going to hook that on there. I'll shorten it to make sure that it hangs, right? So right there, I know it hangs. I'm just going to lower it down to the floor. I know that I want it to release at that height. I'm going to pull a little extra so that I know it pops off. Well, so that's it for that. Get rid of the floor. Pump up the releaser. And the other one. And you know, match the height. Ironically, it's the same height already, but I would adjust this either, right? So like we talked about in other videos, lowering it, hold on to this one and only release this enough to let it slide, to go back the other direction. You pull down here to keep this engaged, follow with the other hand, okay? And it's easier to fine tune it down than it is to try to do it coming up, so I just pinch it between my fingers, lower it down, and you can get as accurate as you want. I'll move to the other side. Okay. And then depending on how much flooring you have, right? There's that from the dowel, then both on the floor, back up. Right? I don't have to touch them as long as I keep a level bar path. I don't have to touch the ground until I want them off. So I can do as many reps as I want. Set them I can feel, right? So I'm going to set them down. I feel that one touch. I feel this one touch. They're both down. Click out. Now some weight. Okay, so load that up. Hang that on there. You could do this with every single set. You can add them after you warm up. You can do whatever you want. £15 is pretty easy to fit. 25, 20, 30 works very well. Right? So warm up with them. You want to jump? This is kind of where we talk about load raising kind of thing, right? So because I have 25 pounds here and 15 pounds there, I can move that weight in different increments from one to the other as I see fatigue, right? So if I want to keep working out with this same amount of weight, but as I fatigue, right? So I don't know how much is that. Right, so now if you want to add more weight, you can decide between putting it on the weight releaser, putting it on the bar. Or you can split it up and do both. Right, so there's all right, I'm going to take a tiny break. So right now we have roughly 185 plus another at least 50 pounds. So 235 plus whatever the weight releasers are about 4 pounds total. So call it 240 pounds. Right? So So that's the main difference between these and other weight releasers, right? Now, I'd have to decide if I want to go up, whether I want to do 5 more pounds down there or up there, right? And given the fact that I only did 2 extra reps with that weight, I'd probably opt to put it down here. So, let's do that. If you've never seen these plates before, they're pretty awesome. I bought these, around the pandemic time, when you couldn't buy anything. When I bought all my Rogue stuff, you couldn't get 5-pound plates. They had no 5-pound plates. Little did I know I would end up working in the town where these were made. It was kind of cool. I meet these guys at Home Gym Con. It was pretty awesome. They're good people. All right. So, give me another minute or so. So then we went up, so we're what, 255 then, roughly? What else could we talk about? If you haven't watched it, there is a video on YouTube on Garage Shoot Radio where I talked with Jake about this whole thing, kind of how I got started. And what was the little spark that started all this off? It was while I was in the Navy, actually. I was an orthopedic surgeon in the Navy and stuck down at Cuba in Guantanamo Bay for 6 months. And I had to do but work out twice a day. Obviously I don't do that now. But the main thing is this, is I ask anybody that buys these, please only use them with spotter arms or some sort of safety. It's not marketed as a safety device. It's a training aid, right? So it's supposed to make things harder. So in the event that one of these fails to release, you don't want to be stuck there with that weight hanging on the bar and you can't get out of it. So no collars, right? So no collars. If you're not going to use safeties, use safeties. But I would say in general you don't really need, unless you have plates stacked all the way out to the end. Most of us, normal people, don't need collars to bench if we have control. And these don't slide, especially if there's a tiny little bit of texture on the bar, right, from the machining, from when they run these on the lathe. There's almost always this tiny pattern on them, and these stick really well on that. So they don't mar your bar. Here we go. I don't know what I'll do these for. Okay. Touchdown, please. I think you're getting the idea. Thanks for watching. Okay. A little bit of rest. And this time we'll go 5 more pounds of here. Right, so if you can either lift these up to the bar and hang it, right? Tilt that back so that it hooks on and just lower it down. Or pull it off the bar, pull a little tension on that, make sure the snap hook's not curled around on itself, right? So that it's straight. Hook that in there, hold it at an angle, pick it up, slide it over, lower it down. I check with my fist to make sure they're all the same distance from the weight set. Over here. Same thing, take out the hook, cam buckle forward, lock in, lift up, slide on, check the gap. Okay. Restart my watch so I get credit for my exercise. Okay. Now this is just one example of what you can do with these. If you've ever watched Travis McKinney use them, that guy's an animal. He's also almost 30 years younger than I am, so he could easily be my kid. But I use them for different reasons, right? So I don't like the grind part of it. That's the part that makes me nervous, right? So if I'm lifting heavier, so instead of worrying about, oh, if I'm not going to get this next rep, I'll just quit now, I can at least make an attempt at it. And if I can't get it, I can lower, click out, and keep going, or rack. It gives you that ability, you know. So okay, forward. What? Oh. That'd probably do it, huh? If there's any questions about this, drop me a comment, ask a question. Thanks for watching.